Hello, this is Howard Gofstrand. I'm here turning the tables on what is typically an interview being done by Jeff Ramson, the founder and CEO of PCG Advisory, an investor relations firm here in New York City. And I happen to have the luxury of being here today and having a discussion with Jeff that's turned into this formal interview that will be not so formal, but a discussion that we're going to have about the industry, where things are at, where things are going, and how PCG is leading the way. I enjoyed our discussion before, but now maybe we'll share some insight and knowledge as to what's around the corner for the investor relations industry, small public companies, some of the challenges they're facing, and how we could help them get around those challenges and excel. Maybe a quick background on PCG. When did you found the company?
Yeah, so I founded PCG in 2008, and we've grown to about 15 people, and we work with, at the moment, about 40 public companies, and we also work with maybe a dozen, let's say, non-public companies that are either looking to go public or are in the blockchain space looking to do security token offerings and things of that nature.
Obviously, you've been in the business a long time, and there are some of the traditional investor relations strategies and initiatives that companies would have, road shows, et cetera, literally knocking on doors, speaking to the brokerage community. Where have you seen things shift in the last couple of years or 4 or 5 years in that space?
You know, it's a great question, right? It's something we talk about a lot and we face all the time. So it's gotten harder and harder for small public companies to get attention, to get real investors. It's getting harder and harder for them to raise capital for a variety of reasons, right? There's some of it's regulatory, some of it's just logistical clearing issues, things of that nature. But getting good fundamental investors into small companies is very, very difficult. It's also a very inefficient way of marketing, the way we traditionally do it, right? So going around and doing road shows takes a lot of time. It's expensive, and again, your audience of capable investors is diminishing. So what we've been advocates for quite some time and are really accelerating more now is really digital types of marketing. So I would say that what public companies need to look at now is a much more digital approach to reaching an audience and communicating directly with potential investors.
And then here at PCG, you're leading the way with that with some of your products.
Yeah, exactly. So we started the business. When I started the business, it was really focused on social media, and the idea being using social media as a way for companies to create community, engage, and really create your own audience and speak directly to the people that care about what you're doing. Okay. And this is back in 2008. So it was early days. It took a lot to convince people to try it. We think it was very successful in terms of companies really growing their audience and creating their own voice. But I think now with new technologies, which are artificial intelligence based and other crowdsourcing technologies, you can get to a lot more people and speak more directly.
All right, and shifting gears for 1 second, one of the things that we talked about, we actually had a discussion about it earlier today. In my experience, perhaps yours too, and this goes to the digital, it goes to the traditional, it goes to all the kinds of IR. One of the biggest things that I've noticed is CEOs need to be able to tell their pitch, if you will, truly an elevator pitch, 30 seconds, 60 seconds, that touches on what they do, why it's special, why the company is unique, and what is the investment, the value proposition, because I've always said, no one's buying stock to do me a favor. The only reason someone's buying stock is to make money. One of the things, and in using social media too, you have to be very concise and you have to tell the story in such a way that people are going to want to read beyond line number 4. So what's some of the tricks or things that they could be doing in the first couple sentences of a digital campaign that we know they should be doing, just verbally discussing the company?
First of all, your point is a great one. Whatever the medium that you use to communicate the message has to be sound. It has to be succinct. It has to grab people's attention. And like as you said, we're in the business of getting people to look at things as investments. So you have to somehow get across a message that's going to make it compelling for someone to actually take action and become an investor or stakeholder. So you have to make them care. In a digital format or in a social media format, it has to be, you have to have some kind of a, again, compliant but yet compelling headline that will attract attention. And then of course, once people click through and they can read the story, that's, gives them more context. But you also want to make it so that it becomes shareable. So you want something that people actually care about and would share with others that are following them.
Totally agree. So getting right back to what we said before, the securities tokens, there's been some very recent shifts that are pointing in the direction that we're going to see more of these security token offerings. What are you seeing with your clients, or what are the potential companies coming in here and asking you about?
Yeah, so that's a great question, and something we're very passionate about. We put a lot of time into following what's happened, starting off with what happened in crypto and ICOs, which really evolved into what we really are really excited about, which is a regulated security token market. So we're taking the technology that developed out of the ICO world, but we're taking the regulatory framework of the securities world and putting that together. And what's generating out of that is really customized securities that can be offered on the blockchain, right? And there's a whole bunch of advantages to that, which we can talk about. But essentially what it really comes down to is really customizing securities that fit a particular type of investor. So for example, yesterday, it was the first public biotech company just issued a security token, or announced the issuance of a security token, where they're going to be funding one particular drug. Versus in the past, they'd be raising money on a dilutive equity model, right, where they've got 15 drugs in development. So now, if you're an investor that's interested in this one particular drug, they've customized a security that works just for that. And of course, if you're not, then that's fine. You can invest in the company or something else. But I'm a big fan of how that market's developing.
Well, no doubt we're going to see a lot more of these securities tokens. We're going to see a lot more exchanges getting active in the in this token world, and what it's going to mean to our industry and really the whole ecosystem of Wall Street, so to speak, is going to be very interesting over the next, not even 10 years, but over the next 2 or 3 years. And the general health of the market is we're still seeing a lot of small public companies going public via reverse mergers. That's still happening, the S1s. So overall, the people are attracted to the markets, and this is going to give them another avenue to potentially raise capital.
Absolutely, yeah. Exactly. It's a way to raise capital. I think you can see a lot more startups raising capital this way. And I think it will become an alternative for small public companies to look at. And I think it'll make the capital raising process more efficient.
Well, Jeff, it's been great talking with you about this. Always enjoy talking with you and
building
it's really great seeing you. Our business relationship and personal friendship. So it's been wonderful.
Thank you.